Okay, well, I started off the meeting by talking about inventors' rights and the Constitution. And in fact, it is a big concern for those of us that are in the inventing world. The American Invents Act in 2011 made it so that corporations really have a leg up on us, and all sorts of things have happened with patent laws and rulings. What you're seeing here on the top right, the three of us that started US Inventor became a lobby group. We're a 501c4. And that means we were going to Washington, talking to our representatives and trying to inform them on how patent laws and changes are really hurting and disenchanting the small inventor. One of the events we went to as a group was the SCOTUS decision on oil states, which decided that that rule we were talking about a few minutes ago, that your rights to a patent are in the Constitution. They've challenged that right, and they're saying those are no longer your personal property rights. The Supreme Court decided patents are now a public right, and you are getting a franchise to use your IP. We have been fighting these rules and changes here. The organization has grown, as you can see in the lower left. I now have most of the heads of all the inventors clubs in the country. We've come together in Washington. There's another meeting coming up now on May 1st, and the issue is this. The reason the we're losing our patents in the patent office is because they created a division called PTAB. It was Michelle Lee, when she was appointed to be director, she brought in a bunch of her friends from Google to be judges. So they were illegally appointed judges and now have the power to take away your patent, and it's without a trial. And it's actually cost over 3,000 inventors, 84% of them have lost their patents, issued patents. And this is nuts, and we're going to go back to advocate, is the word we're using now, in front of Supreme Court on May 1st and see if we can't get them to understand it, because there is a case brewing on May 1st that has to do with whether those judges were even legally appointed or not. And if we can get that turned around, it would be a major win for small inventors. So that's my announcement from my side. Just fighting for inventors' rights. Let's get back to what the subject of the night is tonight, and that is manufacturing and how we're doing it here in America and how it's done. And I'm so delighted tonight. We have a couple of great guests on our first one tonight. Tom, would you go ahead and introduce us?
It's been well over 20 years since I since Marty and I first met. We're kind of like competitors because we were both in the communications end of things. And then Marty went with the pre-runner to Flex, which I'm sure you're going to talk about and everything else, in that history. But Marty's is responsible for a very large contract manufacturing facility here in Columbia, South Carolina. So help me welcome Marty to the table while I get his PowerPoint up, and we are ready to go. And we'll let him sit here.
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
Great. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, please do welcome Marty Wilson from Flextronics.
Hey, everybody. Marty Wilson, General Manager of Flex. Some of you may know us as Flextronics. Several of you may not have heard of us at all, and we'll talk about that in a little bit and introduce you a little bit more about who Flex is and what we're all about. But a little bit of personal history. So I've been in electronics manufacturing for going on, well, probably about 30 years. Yeah. About 30 years. And not only that, electronics manufacturing in the US for 30 years. But not only that, but electronics manufacturing at one location, one organization for 30 years. And you think about how topsy-turvy things are in the US as far as manufacturing, competitiveness, just the roller coaster that is. And I think it's even amped up more with electronics manufacturing because of all the foreign competition and things like that. But through it all, our local organization here, which is now branded Flex and was Flextronics, has been sustained for about 30 years. It was an OEM before that. It was a manufacturing part of NCR, and people know NCRs as ATMs and things like that. But through it all, it's been kind of one continuous organization that converted into contract manufacturing back in 1998. So long history, building a lot of electronic products. I'll show you maybe some examples of what Flex does, and I'll talk a little bit about more what we actually do locally here. But I'll tell you, this past year has been interesting, obviously, for all of us. And I feel like we were blessed. Yes.
Excuse me.
And we were going for Mandy Moore. Lucy, pick again.
Choreographer's 1200.
Choreographer Savion Glover created the Hookers Club School for this type of dancing. His special. Lucy,
What is tap?
tap is right.
I'm sorry, we're getting a little overview, and the comment wasn't very clear. For that matter, if we might just mute your microphones for right now, we'll continue.
Sorry about that. Couldn't make that out. So the last year for all of us has been very interesting with the coronavirus, with COVID and all of that. And obviously it has been for us as a manufacturing facility as well. And through it all, we've been able to we never actually closed our doors for even a day through that whole period, except for weekends. So we operated continuously. I feel like the manufacturing climate here in South Carolina was pretty favorable, and they never imposed a lockdown on us. And not only that, but we've also, with some best practices, we've been able to keep our case rate within the facility at a very low rate, and which has been, very helpful and very remarkable. And we're very thankful for that, that we're able to do that. And so with the COVID in mind, one of the other things I want to talk to you about is it's caused a couple of things for us. It has depressed our business. It is, I think our business is off probably on some areas, maybe 30–40%, but in other areas it actually created opportunity. And I'll talk about that in a minute as well. But so here we are. I'm going to talk to you tonight about Flex as a company. I'm going to dial it down and talk about our local plant here as a contract manufacturer locally here in Columbia, South Carolina. And then I want to move into really what, why contract manufacturing? Why do people gravitate, or why do companies gravitate to contract manufacturing? What are the reasons? What are the rationales behind that? So we'll spend a few minutes talking about that. And then I want to talk a little bit, and this is based on personal observation and history over many years, really kind of what are the success factors that make a good contract manufacturing relationship or a good contract manufacturing launch for a company. And I think those will be kind of interesting. So the next thing I want to do right here is talk a little bit about Flex. And Flex is a big old company. And, I don't know, if you took a poll, maybe 2% of people have heard of Flex. Not too many people have, and I don't know how many people, that are listening now have heard of Flex, but we're actually a $26 billion company, and we're kind of the company behind a lot of the brands that you encounter and interact with every day, whether that's, your cell phone, your gaming system, your computer, your, just on and on, or whether you're in a hospital or you're driving a car and the electronics in a car. So Flex does a lot of different things, but we're a very big company, but we're a company that really nobody's ever heard of, because that's kind of the nature of contract manufacturing. We're kind of the company behind the brand, and the brand is the customers, the OEMs and so forth that we work with. A couple of things I'll pick off of this slide. About 160,000 employees. We're much smaller than that in Columbia here in South Carolina.
Really?
Yeah, we're a tiny fraction of that. And we actually have about 4,000 engineers. We are a contract manufacturing company, but we also do enabling design as well. It's not the main thing we do, but we do it as a complementary part of what we do along with contract manufacturing. We have about 1,000 customers, 16,000 suppliers, and on. Many facilities. So the facility.
Where are your design centers in the United States?
We've got one in Boston. There's one in New York. There's one in Austin. There's one in Milpitas, California. I think there's one in Michigan that's more around automotive, and then many in Asia and Europe as well. And totaling 20 different design centers. And so as far as operations, you can see on the slide, there's 130 different factories within Flex. And so we're just one factory here in Columbia, South Carolina, making a go of it, day in and day out. So let's talk a little bit about, we're going to dial it down to our local site here. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not through talking about Flex yet. So the kinds of products that we're involved in making, this is again Flex overall, the broad Flex, the worldwide global Flex. So we're very much involved in things like telecommunications, that Tom, that was the industry you came out of, and that's the one that we also were competing in as well. So communications, enterprise computing, rack computer systems that support the cloud, that support data centers and so forth. We're also into lifestyle products like appliances and so forth. And again, many recognizable brands that are out there that you see every day, we have some role in, many of them. Consumer devices, the smaller things, the more high velocity products. Industrial, this is probably one of the more growing parts of Flex overall.
Are you seeing IoT expanding? Are you getting involved with the IoT and especially with industrial devices and controls?
We are, I think, as a company, I think IoT is very big, and that's one of the areas we're actually getting into more and more design, collaborative design of Internet of Things devices, sensors and whatever, communications, wearables, all of that. So that's a very big part of what we're getting into. And then automotive, with autonomous vehicles, electrification, lighting, a lot of different things within automotive. Then healthcare, medical devices, medical equipment, drug delivery, even, very high velocity things around if you have diabetes and, you take this or that or shots and all of that, medical, even drug delivery. And locally in Columbia, so we are at our site, we're building rack computers for the cloud. So we're doing that. We're building industrial equipment here at our local facility. And it's a variety of things. I think one of the main ones I would say is kiosks. We build a lot of kiosks. We've built maybe over the years 100,000 kiosks over many years. And we're even into lifestyle and healthcare.
I think
Yep.
when I click back out of something, I need to go back to the screen and share. All right, hold on. Hang on. Keep talking. All right, so we'll go here. And this is where,
There it is on the left.
right here.
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Is that better, Jeff?
Sorry about that.
Thanks for the point, Jeff.
Don't wait so long for the next time, Jeff.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where I lost you. Not sure where I left off as far as the screen display.
Okay.
But healthcare is another big one. But let me get back to the COVID story. I said that, in some of the areas of our business, it's been depressed because of COVID and the economy going down and those things. But in a couple of these areas, we have actually seen an uptick in our business. It's created opportunity for us We built in the last several months since COVID hit, we built about 5,000 or 6,000 ventilators. And so that's one that we're very, it was a very rewarding opportunity because it involved the delivery of life-saving equipment at a critical time. So ventilators came on very quickly. And then we're also building products around electrostatic disinfection. So you probably have seen some of this in your personal lives where venues or areas, work areas or whatever it may be, are disinfected with a spray device. And so we're building those by the hundreds and thousands now as well. So the COVID impact has been a little bit of a mixed bag, but we've weathered through it. And I think like all of us, we're looking forward to getting to the other side of it after the vaccine delivery and all those things. So that's a little bit about Flex. Let's talk about Columbia a little bit more. So this is our plant in Columbia, and it's like Tom said, it's about a mile away from this campus of Midlands Technical College that we're at right now. And it comprises 450,000 square feet. It's actually 3 different buildings. We have about 350 employees. It ranges anywhere from 300 to 500 to 600 employees generally over time. And we maintain these certifications, some of which you may have heard of. ISO 9001 is fairly ubiquitous. I think most every contract manufacturer has that.
GMP and
yeah.
ISO 40 is electrical and 13485 is your medical.
Medical, yeah. So the medical was very key for us, and we had to get that certification in record time. And it's a pretty rigorous certification. And in order to do the ventilators, we had to bring that on board very quickly. Yeah. Then the 14,001 is around environmental safety and those things. And so what we do here in Columbia, the products we build, I mentioned a few of them, but what it all involves is complex electromechanical assembly. And if you think about getting a product launch, especially an electronic product, you're typically dealing with things like printed circuit board assemblies, plastics, sheet metal chassis, or whatever it may be. What we focus on at our site is almost exclusively the assembly, the end assembly, the final assembly of the product, taking all those components that I've described and turning them into a system or a solution.
Is that sometimes called a box build?
Box build, yeah. That's the term that we use inside.
It's assembled to order.
Assemble to order,
Okay.
configure to order, build to order, all of those things. And typically building the box. And all the components that go in it, we typically source through our supply chain management, leveraging either other sites within Flex or capability outside of Flex. So it's all around complex electromechanical assembly of various electronic devices. And there, Tom, there's what you were talking about, build to order, configure to order, direct fulfillment. Most everything we build goes directly to an end customer, whoever is going to deploy that kiosk.
Back to the person, to the people that have contracted with you. You're shipping it directly to.
That's
who's
right.
ordered it.
You are the OEM.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
What?
You are the OEM then.
Well, the OEM we consider our customer.
Okay.
So and they're the brand that would be familiar to most people. And when we build their product for them on a contract basis, when we do the contract manufacturing, typically we don't ship it to them, we ship it to the destination where it's going to be deployed.
All right. The
So
fulfillment center and the
yeah.
Right. Okay.
And then finally, these last couple of things on the right, I think they're worth noting that distribution and spare parts logistics and also reverse logistics around repair and refurbishment are an important part of product lifecycle that's easy to overlook when you're excited about a new product and a new product launch, and you don't think about, well, what if, under warranty and you have warranty returns and things like that, and that has a supply chain unto itself. Mm-hmm. So I think that's worth emphasizing, that's a key part of what we do along with the manufacturing of the products. We love it here in Columbia, South Carolina. It's been a great place to do manufacturing. The logistics are great. The interstate highway system, there's 5 interstate highways, obviously going through Columbia or near Columbia. We're sitting, where we are sitting right now, literally, is about a mile from the Columbia Airport, and gives us some great advantages around time-sensitive shipments, whether we're bringing material into the plant or we're shipping things out. We get a great benefit being so close to the airport. And occasionally we make use of the Charleston Deepwater Port, which is about 2 hours away. So logistically, a great place to be. And it's probably why Amazon several years ago decided to put a distribution facility right nearby and right near the airport as well. So that's a little bit about logistics in Columbia, and I'll touch on a little bit more here around the workforce. It's also a good place to do manufacturing from a workforce standpoint, in terms of being able to get skilled labor when we need it. I think Midlands Tech has been a great partnership that we've had over the years in terms of technical labor and being able to deploy people quickly. So that's been a nice advantage. The whole technical education system in South Carolina, I think, is super. It really is. It's been a great partnership over the years.
So you find a good, you find the necessary supply of talents here?
Yeah, really across the board. In terms of our direct labor workforce and also the support indirect labor. And I feel like the labor pool here is very strong.
Well, that's a fantastic resource. I come from the West Coast where there's shortages of skilled people.
Yep.
And then the other part of that is the labor rates are almost twice as much. So
yeah,
there's the advantages here, quite useful.
Yeah, Adrian, that is a great point, that not only is the labor pool available generally, we never had too many problems being able to ramp up and flex up and down, and that's what we want to be able to do for our customers. But also, it is a cost competitive place to do manufacturing.
I'm just going to stay away because of, for example, we have a very micro version of this sort of operation ourselves on the West Coast. It's 6 employees, but it's going and building and it's electronics and assembly and all these things. And we've been looking for assemblers lately and we can't find one. We've been calling temp agencies and they're not even answering the phone. There's no skill sets out there anymore. And if we were to find one, it's $25 an hour to start.
Are you kidding?
No.
Wow.
So I am thinking about moving here to beautiful South Carolina.
That availability of that technical workforce is another reason why Nephron has moved here.
And they're booming
and doubling the size of their facilities here.
Right.
So,
they're doing a super job.
Well, hey, if you look at Greenville in general, right? Greenville, South Carolina. I mean, I was here in the 90s with BMW, and you look at what's happened since I left, let's say in 95, and came back 3 years ago. It's unbelievable. BMW alone went from, at the assembly plant, 2,000 people to over 12,000 people, just BMW. You have all those suppliers now in the area. Absolutely booming. Never seen anything like it.
Oh, yeah. Aerospace up north, part of the state, Flextronics. It was one of the draws when I was considering a couple of years ago when I moved out here. It was definitely one of the draws is the growth rates. Even the local phone systems, it's the highest growing population area in the country.
Yeah, I think it's been a nice draw. I think it's an attractive place to live and work. And I think that's been part of it. And people like me that lived up north, moved down here, don't want to go back.
You lived up in Rock Hill?
Yeah, a little more north than that. But
just to validate that, I came back just to validate that comment. I would never have a reason to be up north other than family, right? I mean, the cold weather, the snow. As you get older, you get tired of all that. But the area here is absolutely beautiful, and it's booming. The housing market, the economy, the downtown areas. There's so much in this area to offer people, and really, when you look at the economy as a whole, it's insane how fast it's grown and how it continues to grow.
Right. It is a growing ecosystem and there is lots of support, and especially for entrepreneurship, it's really exciting, the supports, levels of support. So please, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, but Adrian, I'll take note of what you said, that, we're fortunate then to be able to have a good labor pool around here at a reasonable cost. So that is a nice advantage for us. And we actually do use contract personnel. We have 2 agencies that we actually use on site that helps us with our flexing up and down of our workforce. Okay, so why contract manufacturing? So we want to spend a few minutes on that. And this is, really, something that I've had a long time to think about over a 30-year career. But I tried to put it into a fairly straightforward set of reasons why contract manufacturing is something that companies gravitate toward. Productivity and quality, I'll lead off with that. What contract manufacturers can provide is economies of scale, because they're already operating at scale, or maybe already operating at scale. So when they bring new products in, it's not like all that infrastructure is going to land on just a little bit of product going through. So when you go with a contract manufacturer, you're almost leveraging their economies of scale and imputing that to your own business in a way. And it allows contract manufacturers to be more competitive in that way. The lean and quality management systems, I think Brian was talking a little bit about that before. I'm a Six Sigma black belt myself, and I've been a lean practitioner over the years for a long time. But there is truly, within manufacturing, there is truly a specialty around that. There are best practices. There are things that are learned and experienced and applied over and over again. And I think that what contract manufacturers offer is that's what they do for a living, and that's what they do all the time. And they're always seeking, and it's a very competitive industry, so they're always seeking to get more and more competitive and more efficient and higher quality as well. The other is around compliance, around ISO. So when you go with a contract manufacturer, very likely, depending on the industry that you're in, they will very likely already be certified in what they need to be certified in to do your product. And for example, our site, we've got the general certification, the 9001, but we're also medically certified. And if you were if you had a medical device that you wanted to introduce, that's a lot of overhead and a lot of lead time to try to get to the certification.
Well, it's absolutely huge. Some of these friends know I've done a few medical device companies and startups, and to vertically integrate is a ridiculous expense, especially if you're in a startup phase. So it makes so much more sense to, at least on the first couple of runs, contract it out.
Yeah. And the other thing is industry-specific solutions. So, you can find contract manufacturers that specialize in certain types of industries. And so they will be adept at, probably what you're looking for. And then around systems and technology, there's also a huge investment in systems infrastructure. So just to do manufacturing well, systematically, you've got to have a solid MRP system. You got to have all the hooks in it. You got to have all the things debugged and worked out and proven and tested and all of that.
And that's QA'd regularly and certified.
And all of that. And so the MRP systems is a big infrastructure, but it's necessary to manage a supply chain and to manage a manufacturing operation, including things like shop floor control systems that keep track of as-built quality, that keep track of as-built components that are scanned into the system, and the hierarchy of the build, and all the things that you want to have a scan history of. You have to have a good shop floor control system to do that. Right. So these are kind of investments that are sort of a given already that a contract manufacturer would have. and a smaller company wouldn't have to, you know, go
Right.
through all
Just
that.
implementing the device history files, for example, is
Oh, that's
in of
huge.
itself and
Yeah.
a job, and keeping those records and then auditing those, and then because that's the paper trail for every one of those devices goes
Yeah.
out that proves it was built according to the standards it was designed to meet. So
Yeah, that the whole DHR is
Mhm.
that was a big learning process for us as well.
Mhm.
But we're we hope to leverage it again soon. So access to manufacturing technologies. What I'm talking about there is really to do certain things, to do printed circuit board manufacturing, to do plastic injection molding, you know, typically represents a sizable investment. If you're only doing it on a small scale versus what a contract manufacturer can do on a large scale, that's a significant investment.
yeah, when you can amortize all that equipment over a whole
Yeah.
portfolio of jobs, it makes sense.
Yep. And then what I'll call turnkey scalability. You know, if we do turnkey manufacturing for a company, meaning we're going to manage that supply chain really from
Mhm.
end to end, from managing the forecast to placing all the MRP signals, all the buy signals to go buy all the parts, all the way through the receipt of material, the manufacturing of it, the fulfillment of it, you know, out the back, and shipping and managing transportation. All of that whole end-to-end capability are things that need to exist, but also need to be scalable. And scalability is a big thing that contract manufacturers offer, because they're usually diversified across many customers. So we can sort of manage the ups and downs and get sort of a diversification effect across many customers, so that we can sort of keep a balance. We also have a global footprint at Flex, and we're one of the larger contract manufacturers. But you know, for the bigger ones, yeah, and there's several big ones that have a global footprint, and we're one of those. But that's one key advantage, is being able to, if a product is so successful that it goes beyond the region and it becomes globally interesting, then at some future point it could make sense to break up the manufacturing and do it in region. And so if a contract manufacturer is already present in all these geos out there, that can be a good advantage.
Are most of your products marketed here in the US, or is it completely worldwide?
Let's see. Most of what we build, it's mostly going domestically. I would say probably 60% of what we ship is consumed or delivered somewhere domestically. About 40% of it, I would say, goes overseas. Yeah. And it really depends by customer,
Right,
a little bit.
right. But the ability to, well, the advantages of having local production to lessen your shipping and all that.
Yeah, and you have to, you know, you run the models, and whatever makes sense from a transportation and logistics standpoint, you want to get to the total landed cost that is the lowest total landed cost. And then the last one here that I've got is supply chain leverage. So what a contract manufacturer can do is they can consolidate a spend across many customers, and focused on a few key suppliers. They can get a lot of leverage with individual suppliers, because their buying needs are spread across many of their customers. Let me try to say that a little bit better. Because we're buying maybe similar or the same parts for many of our customers, we're getting better price points and purchasing power.
Buying in bulk. Right.
Buying in bulk, that if you're just buying individually as a small business, it's hard to get a good price point. So that's one big advantage of contract manufacturing. And then we're always leveraging established supplier relationships that we've built up over the years, and we're continuing to manage carefully and do all the supplier quality management and all of those things. And all of these things, you put them all together, And what it enables your business to focus on product development, marketing, customer relationships, design, all of those things, and not have to worry about maybe who's going to show up on third shift, on a Saturday night, and or so-and-so is whatever. But all the I guess distractions and the consuming things about manufacturing, we want to take that on and be that for our customers.
And that's such a blessing if you're a startup entrepreneur and your focus is on the product and the market and the creativity, to be able to delegate all of the tasks that it's going to take to manufacture it. It's a blessing and a half.
Yep. And we think our customers appreciate that. If we feel like we've done a good job if we enable them, to just basically hand over the keys and trust that we're going to get it done. And if we execute, they're really focused on what they need to focus on.
Now, I know that is your advantage in the economics for it, is to a lot of benefit. But do you ever do actual contract work where people will bring you all the components that they've already sourced and just ask for it to be assembled?
Yes, Adrian, that is one that I've kind of skimmed over. I really haven't addressed that, but the usual relationship is they give us a forecast and we buy to the forecast and we bring all those assets, the inventory and all that on our books. But the other example is where it is consigned parts, where our customer is doing all the buying activity and just drop shipping everything to Flex.
Right.
And in that case, it would those assets, those inventory assets, would stay on our customers' books, and we would convert the product, and we would charge them for that conversion, but not for the pass-through material.
Right.
And so we do that. Also, we do what you also described is sort of like project work, where it's not necessarily going to be over months or years or
the
whatever.
forecast isn't there yet.
Yeah.
It's a batch.
It could be a batch build of, hey, build these 5,000 and we'll work it into our schedule and so forth. So it can be any of those or any of those options, really.
Well, that's good to know, because oftentimes a startup doesn't have a full line of production. They just want to get that batch because it's a starter. Some of those are loss leaders. Sometimes they just need to get their foot in the market, and then hopefully the orders progress, and then it could turn into something forecastable. But the very startup ramp, it's really imperative and important to have the flexibility, and that's a great service to offer.
Yep.
Glad you offer that.
So those are some of the reasons for contract manufacturing. And now let's talk about the other thing I mentioned. What are the success factors for contract manufacturing? And these are the ones that keep emerging time and time again across many relationships we've had with customers, that you really have to get all three of these things right, or check all three of these boxes, because any one of them can derail a successful launch. And the one probably bumped up against the most might be design stability, where the product wasn't quite ready and everybody thought or hoped it was. And that would include things like robust product documentation, having really tight bill of materials that's well documented, it's accurate, it doesn't have errors in it. Having drawings that are complete with the right specifications, all of that, the whole drawing and documentation package, the better it is and the more robust it is. I think some of the customers that we might encounter at times, they want to move fast, and they may not dot all the I's and cross all the T's, but it's so important.
And that's devastating, and it is so important. And you're absolutely right.
And the other thing I think that contract manufacturing sort of enforces is, because you are handing off documentation, and it just reinforces the need for discipline. Because if it's in-house, if it's captive in-house, certain tribal things and you can get away with a lot, if it's all under one roof. But when you're literally making a handoff and you're entrusting, somebody to live off of your documentation in order to buy parts that'll show up at the right time and have complete part sets so you can build the product. If you're not careful with your documentation, things can get kind of messed up.
This is another area where a lot of startup inventors underestimate the time and the requirement to get this done right. And I like the way you're showing there is an evolution to design, to validating that design. It does take evolutions of tests and regenerating, and then you finally come up with the manufactural design. It is a process, and if you've gone through it, you calculate that in. But again, a lot of inventors just think it's going to go from their idea to market. No, it's going to change and have to be designed. So
and this is, Adrian, you could probably help me out here, but this is I see this more in the electronics industry, but I guess it's across many industries to go through these various steps.
Oh yeah, well, we prototype, we'll create a working model. It's a breadboard. It's nothing like a real thing. It's just a proof of concept of even will the system or the technology work. Then it's turned into something that can be packaged, but it's still not designed for manufacturing. It's just so it's demonstrable. Then it goes, then if that's going to sell, it'll lead to the next stage where it's really designed for manufacturing, optimize the spaces and all the rest of those parts. So yes, there are evolutions to this.
So all of these,
it's interesting you bring that up, because I'm going to talk about, it's really good that you brought it up. I'm going to talk about some of those key points about launching a product and the stages, and it doesn't go from a piece of paper to a retail store in 6 weeks. So I'm really glad you brought that up. I'm going to show some real examples of it.
Right on, Chris. Right on. Exactly.
Well, glad to set that up, but it deserves a lot more mention. I think it's a great topic. So Chris, I'm glad you're going to build on that.
Yes.
But it's something that we see as very key in what we do. And where we jump in is, where does Flex jump in between engineering validation, design validation, product validation, and then ultimately you get into mass production. Sometimes we don't engage heavily until mass production. Sometimes we're maybe right in here around design validation that we'll participate actively in that. So we like to get in early, and get involved early.
And I'll admit, so you understand from my standpoint, my whole business has been based on from initial concept into the first road working models and prototypes, something demonstrable that can then go to the next level and be worthy of.
Yeah. And then the whole thing around manufacturable design, if all of those considerations can be made during the design, it definitely helps a lot. So design stability is key. Basically having something that we can successfully build.
We have about 5 minutes.
Oh, is that all? Okay. Well, this,
time goes fast. Sorry.
I think this is my last slide. So the other one is funding. When you get into the manufacturing phase, that's when the money requirements obviously get involved. And that would include any upfront costs just to bring up the manufacturing line before you actually start building product. And that we call that NRE, or non-recurring engineering costs. And then there's the supply chain exposure, that all that on hand, when we start exercising the supply chain, you've all of a sudden got on hand and on order inventory. And that's where contractually we have to work out with our customers, the liability or the funding for that. So that, because we're as a contract manufacturer, we're a very low margin business. So we don't automatically just assume all that risk.
Yeah.
So that's something that is a consideration, having funding, a source of funding. And then the other thing, that everybody hopes for is product demand. That it's going to be a successful product. And, we love a reliable product forecast, but I think that's a oxymoron or a
crystal balls sometimes are foggy.
Okay. But but as reliable as it can be. But and then sustained product demand, because we've had situations where the design didn't get off the ground. We've had situations where funding dried up because it was maybe under anticipated. And then where product demand unfortunately just didn't materialize,
Right,
you know,
right.
like anybody hoped for. We all are hoping with our
Oh.
customer for all of those things.
You got those great expectations based on assumptions, and if those weren't vetted early enough, it goes sideways.
Yeah.
Or there's a flip side to that, Adrian, and that is the what John mentioned last month in Z-burst.
Right,
The
explodes.
demand just blew up, right?
Explodes.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're scrambling to find.
And so you know, you would never have forecasted that, but how do you grow to that level and sustain that level, because you don't have the time to go back and do the DVT and the PVT and everything else in order to get there.
It's fortunate that in today's day and age, we've got the files that are electronic, we can transfer, and if you can find a compatible outfit, they can adopt them. But no, it's marketing is the horse that pulls the cart. Makes
Well,
the
I've
soul-
always been
soul
I've been
resort.
trained that forecasts have two things in common. Number one, they're all wrong, and number two, they can all be improved. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So accuracy can be improved.
All right.
All right. So we're done.
Well,
You know,
Well,
okay.
Wonderful. Well, Chris, I'm so happy you're here and to introduce you. And this is your introduction screen. Ladies and gentlemen, folks, I'm really delighted to introduce you to Chris Guerrera as a serial inventor and entrepreneur. He's got some fantastic new products on the market that are doing really well. He has his own manufacturing facility, and he's becoming quite a celebrity on some well-known shows. And it's my delight to introduce you folks to Chris Guerrera. Chris, welcome aboard.
Adrian, thanks. Thanks everyone for being here. A lot of my friends are online as well, so thank you for that. I really appreciate it. You know, they hear me talk about things I do, and they see some of it, but now it'll at least be live. So I'll tell you a little bit about myself. So I started way back. I mean, I don't want to date myself or age myself, but I am getting old. It happens to all of us. I started out as a design engineer back in, I think it was 1984. Woohoo! I can't remember what happened in 1984, but I know I was doing design work for Ford Motor Company.
I don't think anybody can remember the 80s, and so you're not alone there.
And I just really enjoyed being an engineer, working with my hands. You know, I was 13. I went to a technical high school. I was 13, and at the time, you had an opportunity to go through a whole pot of curriculums, and I love the design aspect of engineering. My father was in electrical manufacturing. My brother was in auto body, and when I told them I wanted to be an engineer, they were all like, "Why do you want that? Why won't you want to go to electrical?" I said, "I like mechanical." And I made a decision at age 13. I mean, who does that? Seriously. I made a decision at age 13 that stood by my side my entire career. So I ended up being a design engineer. I got into tooling engineering. Then at some point, I worked for Ford, and I had 4 plants. You know, I helped develop and design the 1/8 turn gas cap. That product revolutionized the industry back in 1993.
Was that your first patent?
Yeah, yeah. It was pretty involved. That's when they had the zero permeability, so nothing could permeate to the atmosphere. And I spent time with Walbro and Stant and Randall Textron doing the filler neck, the gas tank, all the way up to the gas cap, where the gas cap had to withstand a 5-pound load. So essentially, in part of the design criteria was an 80-year-old woman had to be able to fill up her own gas tank and able to snap it, 1/8 turn gas cap. After that, GM came out with a 1/4 turn, BMW came out with a snap, you know, so it just went on, and it truly revolutionized the industry. And, you know, I got called one day and said, "Hey, you know, you're on the front lobby in Ford Motor Company in Detroit. There's a picture of you as a chief design engineer, and the entire model of the filler neck and the gas tank and the gas cap is all cut away." I said, "I had no idea." So, I mean, I got recognized quite a bit, and that's what led me to BMW, believe it or not. At some point, I had been with Ford for 5 years, and then I got a call one day and said, "Hey, BMW is interested in having you join them as their technical manager and then becoming the plant manager." At the time, I was living in Connecticut. I said, "I'll give it a shot. I'll go down there and check it out." You know, I had never really moved to a different town, and boy, it was absolutely the best I was fully trained in Six Sigma. I'm actually a master black belt in Lean Six Sigma. I'm able to, I had to do it in different countries, and you know, and you talk about measurements and key indicators. I mean, that's like my Bible. That's how you're measured at BMW, by your performance. And today, you know, I'm still friends with Knut. He's the president of BMW. I just had lunch with him in the fall last year. And you look at that plant now. I mean, literally went from 800 people. The actual assembly plant had 2,000. It's over 12,000 people. When you go down 85, that's all you see. It's BMW and all its suppliers, and you know, it's revolutionized this area. If you look at how much it's boomed, and I look, you know, I was here 20 years ago. Now I'm back, and it's boy, I tell you, I absolutely love the area. So all of that led to now me being in manufacturing and operations. So I always felt like I had a really good design and tooling background, and then I've been able to really learn the lean and perfect that and really understand operations. And man, you know, you go from the days of designing it and then throwing it to the manufacturing guys, having those guys tell you, you got to fix that. Now, being a manufacturing guy, giving it back to the design guy, now really understanding all of it. So a little bit, we heard earlier about designing it for manufacturing. I'm able to see that at the early stages, because it really does matter. When you're designing a product early on, you really do have to produce it. So it's perfection. When you're producing it, it is at Six Sigma levels, and you can measure it, and you have repeatability, and it's consistent all the time. So, you know, I took some of that. I decided to start a company back in 2013. That's how Pace was evolved. And I was just, you know, messing around in a little bit. I got involved with a company called Oneida Air Systems, where I actually was on Good Morning America with the product. It's the Dust Deputy. This one has to be hydrographic and perfect theme, right, for Made in America. And then you know, one thing led to another. Yeah. and really, I got involved in all stuff. I always said I wanted to be involved in automotive. It's a great training ground. It really teaches you how to produce at a perfection level, because everything is measured, right? Every single bit of your day, walking across the floor, it's measured as efficiencies. And you know, I've been involved in the industrial side of the business, food. You know, we talked about Roger earlier. Roger and I got a little joint venture on some on this smart cookie. But again, it's just all different areas. And now I find myself working on some medical jobs. And those are kind of the four things that I said I wanted to do way back. I never wanted to be, you know, for whatever reason, maybe call it selfish. I never wanted to be at one company for 40 years. My dad retired at Raytheon, literally 40 years. My brother Dave retired from Raytheon, 44 years. And I said, there's no way I can do that for that long. I'm good for, you know, 3 years, 5 years. I got to have change. I got to keep moving. And being now in a business like Pace, where I launch products, I coach inventors, I cover all of it, design right through the final stage of getting it into retail. And I find for me, that is such a diversified realm of exposure that you cover it all. So I thought tonight I'd show you some products that I worked on. Matter of fact, Vernon Nolan is the first product I'm going to show you. It's the Tidy Hook. Vernon worked on this for a long time, came to me, and so talk about going.
Tidy Hook.
Tidy Hook. Yeah, I'm going to show you all the packaging and how we started out. You know, it's a great story, because Vernon spent quite a bit of time on this before I actually got involved. He had a lot of prototypes, a lot of different shapes, different designs. When I got involved, we made some changes to the teardrops, made some adjustments to this clip, which fits on the headrest. But ultimately, he decided that he wanted to make it in the US. Now, he wasn't sure it would be competitive. That's where I come in, right? That's what I do. I make all my products in the US. I'm able to take the waste out of the process, which drops to bottom line results. You know, everyone says, oh, you can make that cheaper in China. And I say, my first question is, tell me what you're quoting in China. Is it just the piece? Because you still got to get it over here. You still got to fulfill it. You still got to ship it. You got to warehouse it. You got to have packaging around it. So there's a lot of hidden costs that a lot of folks aren't aware of and get shocked when it's too late. And then ultimately what happens in this case, I'll tell you a good story on this one. What happens if you have a quality problem and you spent $100,000 and now you've got a boatload, literally, of these parts that you can't use? Two things happen. You either rework it or you scrap it. In this case, if you scrap it, you're out of business. So I'll tell you a little story about this one, right? We got involved in it. We started to mold it. It was a polypropylene. And what we found was early on molding it, this clip, which has a lot of stress. We did some finite element analysis work. It has a lot of stress in this corner.
You're snapping.
Come back a second.
Ah, technology.
Yeah. Chris, you still there?
Chris, come back. The stress on that snap part really overloaded it.
The competition took him
You're back.
offline.
Chris, you're back.
Okay. Yeah, this is AT&T. It's the most horrific service on the planet. Just so everyone's aware of it. We've had, I told this, Kimmel, we've had AT&T out here 11 times in the last year. I won't even get into that. The worst possible service on the planet. But okay, here I am. So we have a part now that has a lot of stress issues in this corner. And what we found when we first molded this, which we were going to do this, okay, Bernie was going to take this abroad, and it would have been in a polypropylene material, which ended up breaking, literally snapping upon assembly because the stress was so high. Now, think about this material. It has to go through all the extremes, right? Cold temperature, hot temperature. So whatever amount of purchase on this product, you would have lost it all. You can't fix this. There is no rework. It's it. It's over. So you got out of business before you're in business, right? Okay, so we quickly realized there's some issues, made some material changes on site, multiple different trials in one day. We're at the plant solving this problem in one day. Now, again, I'm not knocking anything in China. I'm not knocking anywhere else abroad. I'm just telling you the facts. If this was in a different country, you got to get on the phone with somebody. You got to try to explain it. You got to try to tell them what you're having, the problems you're having. Then somebody's got to try to develop a material that you know will work. Somebody's got to test it. You're talking about weeks, maybe months. We did this in one day, literally one day. Even on the molding aspect, we had some issues with flow rates across this living hinge. But you know, today you can bend this thing any which way you want, put it in the freezer. It'll mold. It fits around the side of the seat. And I'll show you that in a second. And really, to me, it was a game changer. This product would not be available right now if it wasn't made in the U.S. and we didn't have the ability to really duplicate the problem and then fix it, right? And when we first came up with this design, we came up with some packaging. You know, I'll show you. It's pretty long.
Well, let me take it. Let me address it. Was that soft tooled or hard tooled?
Oh no, it's hard tooled. It's, you know, you're 30,000 into the tool. It's hard tooled. So I'm bringing up the packaging for a reason. So when we designed it originally, we wanted to make sure that this was running the same time the packaging was done. We weren't comfortable that the material wouldn't take a set if we folded it, right? So we ended up with package a little bit longer. Again, it's all part of the development process, right? We came up with a package, like it, looks good, but it's still too long, right? Amazon wants to charge a $7 fee to handle it. You get less space in retail. I mean, you can go on and on with this. So we come up with now a package that we could actually bend, right? We can bend this in place, cut it in half the size, reduce half the cost of handling. It comes with two bags that are 6-gallon bags, and they're high tear strength bags, so they won't leak and they won't tear. Matter of fact, the woman I spoke with today called me up and told me like this is the best invention she's ever had. She said she has kids and keeping cars clean. She's using the bags for other things. outside of it and then putting it back in the car. So she couldn't rave enough about it. But now we've got new packaging, right? It's nice, it fits, it's easy. I bring it to Walmart. Walmart says, yeah, we like it, but I want your packaging really visible. I want to be able to see it from 5 feet away. Bring the consumer over. So we go through our third iteration, and it's the final iteration. Now this is all within a year's time frame. Now we've got a package that you can see what the product does, more photos, it's really clear where it's made, and it fits beautiful. Half the cost for packaging, and now we've got PDQs that it fits in, so you can do it on the floor, you can put it on the shelf. So all of this, my point is, it's a development job, right? It's an evolvement of a little bit what we talked about earlier. You just don't go from design to retail. It doesn't happen. It's not possible. And my first meeting with Walmart was in February. They were really interested in it before COVID hit. Then when COVID hit, it just shook up the entire world and it moved everything to fourth quarter. But as of today, it's done. It's all been approved. It's in the final stage of onboarding with Walmart. And we should have something hopefully in another week or so. But this would have been a game changer. I mean, again, if the material wasn't right, so there's more than just buying product. There's really understanding how it's evaluated at the design stage and the criteria. This has got to flex a little bit when it gets around a post. This can't snap when you put it in place. These teardrops have to lock the bag in.
Yeah, we like to say God is in the details, and those are indeed the details.
Yeah, and some inventors really get it, and some inventors they don't. They think it's something that happens quick, and I can assure you it doesn't. And I'll talk about another product in a minute. It took 4 months to get into Home Depot. I mean, 4 months of me persistently to a point where I got upset because they were making a number of mistakes. I finally had to call them and say, "What are you people doing? Like, I'm being charged a monthly fee, and you guys are making the mistakes. Like, it's not possible." So we do all of this. Everything is done in-house. So there's no finger pointing. We do design work. We do the tooling. We do the injection molding. We do the packaging is done on the outside. It's delivered. And we do all of the fulfillment, all under one roof. So we can move pretty quick. And this product, I tell you, it fits on the side of the seat. And it just gives you another compartment. It's symmetrical when we designed it, right? Symmetrical, it can fit on the rear seats. And the woman that called me today said she has it all of it entire in the car, front and back. And it's as Vernon always says, it solves a 100-year-old problem. And that was her message to me today. Finally, someone's got a product that solved the real problem of having somebody throw a coffee cup on the floor or stash it on the side of the car. Not anymore. Now we got a real product that works.
Yeah. Well,
so again,
a simple idea, well done. You got a winner.
Yeah, and we got another one, right? The home version. Again, a lot of work went into this. There's a little clip here that you basically, a finger clip that pops it out. Vernon did a lot of work on this. There was a lot of molding work went into this, detail. Again, material selection. You can bend this all the way you want, any way you want. Out of the freezer, and it won't crack. It won't break. It'll fit over doorknobs, shelves, you name it. Then it basically gets back in, and you can hear it. I mean, you can hear it snaps in place. Holds a bag, 10-gallon. You can take it. I use it in a laundry room. We use it in the kitchen, when the college dorms, motel rooms, sports events. When you're playing lacrosse, no place to throw anything away. Baseball games, hang on the tent, hang on the fence. Walmart likes this product as well. Again, different products.
Was this your brainchild to start with?
Vernon, it was Vernon's, and then I got involved, and we really went to work on it to make sure that when, I think initially he wasn't sure about the U.S. side of it, and Vernon's on here. I don't even have a problem if he jumped in, but he wasn't sure about it. And when he finally started bringing some cost about it, we started showing the differences. And now, end of the day, it's a no-brainer. Like, it would have been a catastrophe if we had done this abroad as opposed to having it in the States. Because you really have, It's immediate responses. All the suppliers are local to the plant, and you can move. You can move really quick. But the most important thing is you can solve a problem on the spot and not find yourself just flashing out cash.
Yeah, we were talking about this a little bit earlier today, Chris, and I was sharing the same experiences and stories. We've seen things that we were manufacturing here, shipped over to China, and the result was a disaster that set the company back 6 months, having to go back, retool, restart, all do that. The other example we talked about is when we would get sample parts in, and the first 5 samples are great. You get the big shipment in, and you got nothing but scrap. You paid for it, you can't return it, and you're again back to there's the total cost of ownership of dealing with China is a lot more than just the labor.
And it really is. You know, think about it. You have to put it in a crate. You have to ship it. Right? It's going to end up somewhere. It's going to end up 60, 90 days to get here. Right? Then you got to freight it to somewhere, right? To a warehouse. Somebody's got to fulfill it. That's all cost. That's to me, and the best example is, I told you I had my son working with me, and he kept walking across the manufacturing floor. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, I'm grabbing some boxes. I said, "Okay, do you realize you're grabbing boxes? Why don't you have the boxes already set up at the machine?" And I'll tell you about the next product, how we, as the parts being molded, all the value add is being done during that operation, so you're not adding any cost on labor. He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, okay, how about if we do this? I'm going to time you all day long." And I do this when I go to corporations. I do all the value streams. So I'm going to time you. So he said, "It's only taking me a couple minutes." I said, "No, I'm just going to time you." So end of the day, you lost 1 hour. I timed him. He lost 1 hour. Here's what I'm paying you per hour. I'm going to deduct that from your check every day. He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, that's what's happening. By you being efficient, you're slowing the line down, which means my throughput is not as high, and it's costing me money. And when it comes to labor, you lose that. You can never get labor back. You know, you can build too much inventory and slowly sell it off, but you can never get labor back. Once you spent it, it's gone." So again, similar situation, right? We had packaging, 3rd iteration. We changed the packaging on the home as well. Bright. Gets the message across. You can see it. Have a single pack if we needed it. A lot of shelf space. Menards is interested. It's a lot of companies now. I mean, this is part of that process of understanding what's required when you launch it, because packaging and marketing are equally as important. And if people don't, you know, if you don't think that is, you're mistaken, because right, as Camilla is nodding her head, marketing is critical. It's a big feature. All right, so let's talk about another product, Super Potty Train. This is an interesting one, right? So we started out with I had tooling when Judy called me, Judy Abrams. She invented it for her daughter. Great story. You know, this product is really easy to use. It fits in between the toilet seat and the lid. It's got a back, so the child's not afraid to fall in. Matter of fact, Jordan's on here somewhere. His daughter is a spokesperson for us. Again, big scale, big show. I'll tell you that when I can. But you know, it's the same seat from day one. So you're training your child how to potty train just like an adult in the same fashion from day one. You're not doing one on the floor, having to clean it out, or then retrain them. It's all from day one. So this one, we had an opportunity to get into Walmart. So all we had was tooling. It was complete, and we had run the tooling. We liked it. They gave us a 2-week window. We had no label. We had no graphics, no silicone feet, which is the most critical, because when this sits on the toilet bowl, it cannot slide, right? If it slides, child falls in, it's over. So in this case, great silicone feet, high density, and it grows with your child. So you basically move it based on the size of your child. It grows with your child from day one. It's the same situation. So here we go. We got 2 weeks. I have to mold 15,000 units. I have to find a supplier to do the silicone feet. This is my nephew and my niece. So I figured, why not use them? It's quick photo shoot. had to do a photo shoot, had to get a label, had to get it printed, and had to have packaging, which we end up shipping these in you know, in a 6-piece. So they stack very nice. They stack vertically, which retail loves. So we ship 6 per display case, rip the display case off. And what I find is the stores don't even use the box. They put them on the shelf. So that was a daunting task, as you can imagine. And when I had the request, I'm pretty sure, and Mark's probably on here somewhere, they all thought I was crazy. I said, you either get it into Walmart in 2 weeks or you miss about a year. You miss the whole cycle. We did it. We designed the label. We had the label delivered. Again, suppliers, I use a model where the suppliers are local to the plant, because I had people literally driving product up to us on the day we had to ship, right? Then you got to set up ship station. You got to have all the logistics. So when this is molding, it's a 50-second cycle. We don't have any additional labor. You already assign a labor to the machine. So when it's molding, the operator now is putting the label on, putting the feed on, stacking it into a box. It either gets shipped or it goes in inventory. There is no additional handling. So when we talk about the boxes, this is where Tyler was walking to get the boxes, and I said to him, no, you have. So I showed him how to build really a line, a process line, where you can balance it based on which tack time is higher, the total cycle time, and it flows. Literally, it pops off the machine. You got somebody putting a label on, the pads are going on in a box.
How many cavity mold is that? How many are you popping out of it?
This is a single cavity that we started with, and we're building dual cavities based on the volume that's coming up. Yep. But, you know, and long term, if this thing really blows up, we'll look at robotics. We'll look at a robot. I mean, it's pretty deep core, but we'll look at a robot popping it off, putting it on a conveyor, having the label wiped on, the feet put on right into a box. But there is no additional labor. Then it goes from here to the shipping station and out the door. Literally, there's you know, the amount of travel is probably 100 feet.
So no wiring.
No wiring, nothing. Pure injection molding. And again, these are, to me, this is an injection molder's dream.
Yeah.
Like for me, I've been doing this, you know, I've been doing manufacturing and design my whole life essentially. But when I look at like BMW, right? When we ship to BMW, you have a time window when they ask for, like we did all the interior components. So when they dropped the car off a stacker on the line, we would get a message, and it showed us, here's the options. There's 28 cars being built. All the material gets pulled, like for an instrument panel. It gets built, all the options, they get put on returnable racks. It goes onto a truck. It drives to BMW, goes on the section 300. And when that car pulls up for the instrument panel, it gets put off and put on. If you miss it, it's $1,100 a minute.
Yeah.
So you're not around long as a plant manager if you're not performing. And I can tell you, in 5 years running that plant, never shut the line down. Now, I got to caveat that a little bit. I never got charged for shutting the line down. You know, because they you know, the schedules change, right? There's a 12-month schedule that gets issued as a 6-week schedule, then a 6-day schedule, and then there will be a 6-hour schedule. And I used to joke and say, you guys should call it the 6-minute schedule, because it changes so much, because there's so many components, right? If somebody, supplier has a problem with the true just-in-time delivery, it causes issues. So these are the type of products that I dream about, right? So all of that. So we're able to handle all of this. We got another one, another tick remover. Again, small part, really lends itself. We can make hundreds of thousands of these at minimum cost. You know, can you make them in China? I'm sure you can. Can you make them somewhere else? But I'm pretty competitive on all this stuff, and there's no question that we're able to perform with these types of parts. Where you start getting a little sketchy, if you're doing materials and sewing or lots of labor, then it's an unfair competition, right? Because you're paying, the labor rates are different. We talked about that earlier. Now you really got to have some volume to be able to match it. So in this case, I'm able to eliminate the waste and have it all in one location. And I can't even tell you what that does from a response mechanism to be able to quickly turn product over and have it delivered. And I think now with Made in America, it's got a new tune. Walmart likes it, Menards wants it, Target wants it. They all want that.
Yeah. Well, God bless and thank you. And we need that too. And thank you. And we love buying, support the Buy America cause entirely. And it's a delight to see how you're able to make this work here. And it's very true. The ability to have the resources close by allow you to make the quick changes on the fly and adopt the design for changes. So yeah, those are the basic, most simplest kind of products that you can injection mold and very limited second operation stuff and get it out there. And you've also had a lot of success in branding your company lately, getting some media response. Want to
Yeah,
go out on that a little?
Yeah, definitely. I also want to tell you, like, from a cost standpoint, I'll give you an idea. So when we launched this is all within a 2-week period. So a lot of expedited movement, right? Typically boxes take 6 to 8 weeks, labels 6 to 8 weeks. This is a high thermal label, so it won't peel. It won't ever get discolored. So you're talking this cost out the door $3.70. Sounds pretty good, right? Okay, I'm able to do it now for $2.20, right? With some real time, evaluating the supplier and the cushions, different type of label, and with some volume, we can get it down as low as 180. So, again, there's some things I wish I could talk about, but just take my word on it. I had some high-level people look at this, high-level, big-pocket people, they can't even achieve that price, right? And we can build it to order. I don't have to build this huge conglomerate of inventory. I can build to order based on the capacity and the volume.
Excellent.
Yeah. So I've had quite a bit of media exposure. I've had an opportunity to be on Good Morning America, Shark Tank, Good Morning America, Kathy Ireland, did some stuff on MCee, Make 48, PBS, all kinds of stuff. So I really feel good that when you're able to really talk about Made in America, it has a different twist, right? I'm proud of that. That's a big deal for one, especially in today's day and age. But to really be able to get on a platform and to sell your product at a high level, at a high platform, man, you get a bigger viewing audience. And that's what marketing is. Yeah. It's all about the viewing audience. We talk about social media and ad spends, and Kamala talked about all the money she was spending. She went on TikTok. Now she's got me on TikTok. She went on TikTok and she blew up. She had like 1 million views, and it's helped selling her brand. And I think you become the brand. I mean, we talk about that, right? It's not just a product. People want to buy from somebody that they care about, or they know, or they entrust is taking care of what they're doing, and that's part of what I do.
You do it very well, and it's very true. A lot of people won't buy things because of the way it works. They buy things because of the way it makes them feel. And if you can, the way you present it and get them excited about it, it's a natural instinct to get excited about the products as you're introducing them and explaining them. And then the essential needs are obvious. So you get great ideas, and you're doing a great job, and you're bringing them out and making them in America. It's just fantastic. We have a couple minutes left. Did you have a few more topics, Chris, or can we get into any questions?
Yeah, I think we can do questions. So the Tidy Hook can be found, Tidy Hook, TIDY hook.com, and Super Potty Trainer, just what it says, superpottytrainer.com. And then you can find me on chrisguerrera.com or paceimpact.com. And I left my number here, my email, so you guys can feel free to reach out at any time. And I have a Made in America with Chris Guerrera show that I do weekly with Carmine and the UIA. I'm actually just been nominated to be on the board for the UIA Inventors Association. That starts this month, and it's just hopefully we can get back out and travel again and get all these inventors in one location and help them out.
Yeah, great. I'm glad to hear you're back on with UIA. I was on that board with Warren and the rest of the group for a couple of years myself, and
It's the appropriate time to ride the wave of resurgence of inventing and helping the inventors. So I'm glad your board, you'll bring a real world experience to that board. I'm hoping that they'll be supporting our clubs. Actually, I haven't even announced it yet, but that's our next month's speaker, as Warren is coming back to discuss his book and a few other things that are going on. So it's
great.
I
think you'll see a new twist this year. Hopefully, when we can get everyone back together, because that whole group has really grown. If you look back just 3, 4, 5 years ago, how many inventors were in the hardware show? Just that location, right? Now you look at it, it's just filled with people.
Right.
So yeah, I'm hoping we could do that and bring some products back and keep them made in the USA.
Well, you're a perfect example and a wonderful resource and a fantastic spokesperson. Why don't we just share one little personal interest story? What were you able to do on Good Morning America recently that was pretty spectacular and amazing in itself?
Yeah, this was pretty good. This is when you get challenged by your at the time 21-year-old, who's now 22, but you get challenged by him, right? I was planning a proposal. I've been with Brandy now going 11 years, so I said, what better time than to do a proposal on Good Morning America? So I didn't tell anybody. I kept it a secret. Tyler's the only one that knew. So I said, if anybody else knows outside of this, it's because you told them. So I said, you know what that's going to do, right? He said, forget it. Don't waste your time. You're never going to get on Good Morning America, especially for a proposal. So honestly, he was sitting here. I grabbed my phone. I said, well, let's find out. I'm going to text Jillian. I text her. Literally 10 seconds, my phone popped and said, yeah, Chris, we'll definitely do it. I don't know if we can do it live because we're usually booked for 3 months, but we can definitely do it. Within a minute, I had 4 VIP passes. So he was, are you kidding me? Let me see. So, oh my God, I can't believe it. You serious? So forward 3 months, the day of, it's 3 a.m, my phone's blowing up and we're laying out the whole scheme, how we're going to surprise her. And we're going to do it between a commercial break and not sure you can get it on live. If they can, they will. We wanted to go up in front. Meanwhile, I'm telling Brandy, like, you can't mess this up. I didn't tell her that anything other than we were going to do some talking in Good Morning America, maybe say, Good Morning America. I've been dying to say that, which I got a chance to do with Robert Robbins last August as a follow-up. But she said, no, I don't want to be on camera. I said, no, you can't. It's too late. Like, it's going to happen. You have no choice. She's like, oh, I can't believe you're making me do this. So she's like upset with me now. I'm like, oh, God, what am I going to do here? So a couple hours go by, I get a call at 5 a.m. and it's, hey, Chris, here's the deal. You're going to go live. Don't know when. I'm just going to hand you a mic. You're going to get 2 minutes. He goes, bring the ring and don't bleep this up. So, okay. Now the pressure's really on. I just said to him, if you get the camera rolling, don't worry, I'll show up. It'll go. So we're sitting on the stage. Tyler now knows. Brandy still has no idea. And now I'm a little restless because I'm trying to get my thoughts together. They want me to talk about Good Morning America a little bit and then go into the whole proposal. And she's like, what's wrong with you? You look nervous. Like, I've never seen you like this. What are you talking about today? I said, no, I'm fine. I'm just not sure when they're going to have us talk. So I'm just trying to get my thoughts right. She said, well, I've never seen you like this before. Meanwhile, I'm thinking, I'm getting emotional about the whole thing. So we go on, the show starts. It's about the 8 o'clock hour, like 8:01. They hand me the mic and in the background, 2 minutes. So there I go. She still has no idea. She has no idea. I'm going through it. He's like 1 minute, 30 seconds. I'm on a step, so I don't want to fall off. All these things are running through my mind while I'm giving the speech. Then I turn over and I go to hand the mic to Tyler, and Tyler's like, I don't want that. Don't give that to me. Like, he thought I wanted him to talk. I had to grab the ring out of my pocket. So I grabbed the ring, and Brandy's like, eyes are. I start the whole proposal. They're filming it. The place went nuts. I mean, like, absolutely nuts. It was a pretty cool experience. Then after it was over, she's like total shock. The senior producer comes over and says, hey, did she say yes? I go, I'm pretty sure she did. She goes, well, did she swear? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, like, you're in the background, 20 seconds, 10 seconds. Tyler goes, yeah, she did. Because I knew it. They're in the back freaking out. They're trying to cut some of it. Well, I guess when I did it, she said, no effing way.
Yeah, on live TV.
I was shocked on live TV. So that's the mantra now. And it's like, oh my God, afterwards, I'm so sorry. She didn't even know she said it. Like, it was just completely blew her away. Like, that whole day, she was in shock. But she got a chance to redeem herself because I think it was August or July of this year, Robin Roberts said that she wanted to have us on and do a whole recap of it. So it all got broadcasted live to 10 million people again, the proposal and our follow-up, and they want to do something on the actual wedding. So it was a pretty cool experience. But the most important thing was I showed my 21-year-old who was boss.
Awesome. That's an excellent story, Christopher.
Right.
And congrats, and what a great way to start off what I hope you have is a wonderful, wonderful marriage.
Thank
An
you.
awesome story. Well, we got a few more minutes, and then I'll go into the rest of our housekeeping items. Are there any questions anybody wants to bring up for Chris while we're here? This man's got so many experiences and knowledge, and is a fantastic resource. We will have all your contact information available, so as people want to circle back around and ask questions, we'll be happy to link you up. And
Yeah, they can absolutely feel free to contact me. I'm happy to help.